baby beard.
Waited for you, Fry.
This episode traumatized me as a young person.
My head is hurting again.
Where's my firstborn son?
God does not care about me masturbating.
Your singing is bad and you should feel bad.
First get out into bus, you're like, oh no!
Yeah. I don't like myself becoming the protagonist of this podcast.
You've been in
Yeah, because you haven't learned anything.
Shut up and take my podcast.
Stolen.
You stole my last word.
I intuited what your last word was going to be. I thought it'd be podcast.
Ah.
I was pleasantly surprised.
I should have messed with you and said like, I don't know what else could be.
Pizza.
Yeah,
Shut
money,
up and take
like
my
the quote.
pizza.
Yeah, that's
They
right.
actually use the quote.
Never.
Welcome, everybody, to Shut Up and Take My Podcast, the Futurama podcast that pits episode against episode in a bloody, glorious gauntlet battle.
Knew it. I knew what he was going to say, you guys.
For your entertainment.
Nice.
And I'm joined here by... Yeah, not going to fucking try, are you?
No, because we don't know which order you're going in.
By Sean.
Oh.
How many dogs does Fry actually have?
By Chris. I'm like a dumpster Jedi.
By Phil. I'm a crap scallion extraordinaire.
By Ellen. Welcome, audience, or should I say future specimens?
Does it feel weirder introducing your own joke?
It very much does. And I've
It was
realized...
very awkward.
It
And
makes
I
me feel
realized,
gross.
because I went to go say, and we're joined by...
Yeah.
But you'd already
You, the
introduced
audience.
yourself.
Hi.
Fucked it
Yeah,
up.
actually, you guys, we get a
Yeah.
guest appearance.
Can we make this like
Nope.
a what is it, a Bandersnatch kind of vibe? Like we'll
Choose
wait.
your own podcast?
Yeah.
We'll wait for a couple seconds and then they'll tell us what to do. Well, we're dead, so...
Yeah.
Talk about the episode. Great idea, listener.
Awesome.
Oh,
Thanks.
wow.
Oh, I think they voted for give us the production details.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Yep.
Classic.
I have no idea how quickly Bandersnatch is going to be irrelevant, so... So, guys, we are up to Season 6, Episode 9, A Clockwork Origin. Which is what, guys?
A Clockwork
Look,
Orange by
Give
Anthony
the audience
Burgess.
time to make a decision.
Oh, sorry.
What?
A Clockwork Orange
No.
by Anthony Burgess.
Very nice.
They chose Airbud.
Who
Well, they're right.
correct.
does that mean they're dead now?
And
Yeah.
the
Okay.
classic film by Stanley Kubrick.
I was gonna, yeah,
From the year
film.
19...
Seven.
I was going to say...
How much you
60, but
fail when it's not written down
Yes.
on your little notebook.
My brain is in this book. Yes, A
69.
Clockwork Orange, ladies and gentlemen. And the director of this episode is who?
It's
Can-
the... What's his name?
No,
the
he
guy with three
produced.
names.
Ooh.
Dwayne
Carey Hill!
Him.
Were you actually paying attention to the credits when they came
No,
out?
I did a bit of research myself.
Oh, fuck.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh my.
That is not allowed.
I know, right?
So, the last time Dwayne Carey Hill was on here, I talked about he did kind of similar to Shut Up and Take My Podcast, in name only. He did a show called Sit Down, Shut Up, which was the animated American show. However, what I didn't... I kind of buried the lead. It was an Australian sitcom originally. Back in
What?
2001.
Nothing's ever Australian originally.
Well, it's weird, right? Because it was an
Not even
Australian
Australia.
sitcom that did 13 episodes over 4 months and then got cancelled. And then the Americans saw that and went, this looks like it could be a successful animation show.
And they were wrong.
And they did 4 episodes
Wow.
and then it got cancelled.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would look at something that failed and went, you know what, this just needs more time and like intensive
And Americans.
animation.
To be fair, America's like government buildings are based on Rome. It's
Lots
not
of-
a great America.
Lots
Come
of
on,
togas.
yeah. Well, big Greco-Roman columns and eagles and stuff.
What's wrong with that?
Equals
If
Roman?
Rome failed, Rome
Okay,
was a
yeah.
bad decision.
Yeah, but America's...
Hey, man.
No, it was a good decision for quite a
As-
while.
It
As
quickly
an-
became a dictatorship.
As an Italian, yeah, it's true.
Who? Which one of us?
Wait, what?
Me,
Oh,
right.
Oh.
I'm Italian.
No,
Yeah.
no, but like, which person are you siding with? Phil, that America's
Wait,
great?
As a classic Italian, who's winning?
Me.
Get it, guys? It's a World War II joke. Anyway.
Nice. We really should talk about this episode.
Oh my god.
The writer for the episode is Dan Weber. Dan Weber and
Nice.
Dwayne Carey Hill are both back from Obsoletely Fabulous. These are both throwbacks to the last time I say Dan Weber in a German accent.
Weber.
Absolutely Fabulous was in the previous.
That was Bender
The
as
first
a
As a wooden bender.
Wooden
yes,
Bender
that's right.
when he decides he needs to get like back to nature.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
and all the obsolete robots. I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
These two guys are going to collaborate 3 times. This is their second of 3.
This is also a robot themed episode.
Yes.
Not necessarily a Bender themed episode.
No.
Bender was only a side character in this robotic episode,
Yeah.
which is slightly odd. But
What is
They're
Bender?
like robots. I
yeah.
guess.
Bender just kind of exists to say,
Hey.
Robot.
I
Hey.
need to learn how to knit.
hey.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
I'm fairly sure he knows how to knit, though.
He definitely knows now.
Maybe he relearned it.
Maybe
Learned a
he learned a
different
new
stitch.
stitch. Ah,
He's
there
a
it
bit
is.
of he's a bit of a foil to Farnsworth in
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
And very quickly, Dan Weber is one of 5 executive producers currently on The Simpsons that were also writers for Futurama.
Of course, executive production just means you put your name on it and some money forward.
And I mean,
That's
you,
right.
you get your name on the Emmy Award if you guys get nominated.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sure. Nice.
Nice.
I gotta
Success.
invest in this.
I'm sure I've angered some executive producers out there, but that is my understanding of the role.
Air date,
Aren't I your executive producer?
Huh?
I don't know.
August.
Are you giving us money for this podcast, Phil?
I should, shouldn't I?
Was when? Sorry. What?
When?
Yes.
2010.
When? 2010.
Yep.
What a time.
35 days after your birthday.
Is it?
I
August 12th?
I think so.
Is it? How many days? Let's not go into this.
No.
Introducing Dr. Banjo because he will return.
Yes, he
Dr.
will.
Dr.
Banjo-
Banjo, the orangutan.
The orangutan will return.
Who is both some sort of professor
And some sort of monkey.
and a curator of a
Museums.
museum of natural history as well.
Yes.
And he's an orangutan.
Yes.
He's an evolved orangutan.
Without a hat.
He does have little glasses though,
He does.
So maybe that's the
Very
new,
cute.
the
and like
new
a
hat.
waistcoat. I feel.
Yeah, he's got a waistcoat.
I think so.
Yeah,
No pants, but a waistcoat.
that's academics for you.
He's Donald ducking it.
Fine by me.
So we're on to the second of 10. What's the word where shows my fucking stupidity as a human being here?
Go for it.
Segment. Segment's the fucking word I wanted to use there, guys.
Sure.
Is this the 10th
Phase.
segment? What?
This is the segment, the second of 10 segments where we say, Phil, run down the plot.
Plot. Wow, could this be any more awkward?
I'm trying to make it as awkward.
So
As
Hashtag
possible.
relatable, guys.
That's the way I am.
Cuba isn't in school. Why isn't he in school? Because there are protesters. What are they protesting? Evolution.
Oh, is this call and response?
This just really angers. No, shut up.
And take my podcast.
Yes, and please be quiet.
I can't mute your mic from here.
Yes, so they are protesting the idea of evolution. This makes the professor rightfully quite angry, I would say. So he goes to the protest and basically tells them they're all fucking idiots. And evolution's a real thing. Introducing Dr. Banjo, who's like, no, there's a missing link, which the professor provides at times 20. And when he can't find the actual one missing link, Dr. Banjo reckons he's won. Not to be defeated, the professor takes his crew to go digging in Africa to look for said missing link. He finds it, he brings it to a museum, he's like, ha-ha, I win. Dr. Banjo then just shows everyone a painting of his discovery riding a dinosaur.
Which maybe he did.
Which possibly he painted, and everyone is convinced, and Farnsworth utters the immortal line, I don't want to live on this planet anymore. Which is a rather practical statement. He really doesn't. So he leaves and he goes to this other planet, which is devoid of life. And to clean up the water, he releases some nanobots, which then evolve over a couple of days into very sophisticated creatures. And they end up having the same debate about evolution that he has had. And he goes on trial for creationism because he's basically arguing that he created them. He's the ineffable creator from before. And instead of being imprisoned, all of the robots then ascend to higher consciousness the next day. Everyone goes home. The end.
Banjo and the professor.
Banjo and the professor agree to disagree, basically saying evolution is a thing, but we don't know that it maybe was kick-started by some kind of creator. So they kind of find a middle ground. Meanwhile, there's a notable side plot of Q*bert being left behind with his godfather Zoidberg.
Another
Side plot makes my heart.
It's such a lovely,
very
side story.
weird but good pairing.
Yeah, it's lovely.
They're
It's lovely.
experimenting.
They don't spend too much time on it. I think they spend just enough on that little
Yeah.
side story.
Also, the fact that Zoidberg is his godfather at all baffles me. Because also to be...
As I've said before, Zoidberg is Farnsworth's oldest friend.
yeah, but
But
okay,
Hermes, why? Okay.
Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but is godparents not very much a religious thing?
Somewhat.
Because
It
I have
depends.
godparents,
Ooh.
but I was baptized Catholic. Like that's the thing. You swear in front. You get the godparents to swear in front of God.
Fuck.
That. Hey God, fuck
Fuck.
you!
I'm a godparent, right? Yeah,
Well,
what's the matter?
all our religious listeners have turned off now.
Sorry, Zachary.
There's
Well,
nothing we can do.
I grew up non-practicing C of E,
Right.
You haven't done the thing, Sean.
and I had godparents.
Yeah, I'm
so
trying
Yeah.
to
it's more of
not.
a tradition thing than
So,
a
Phil,
religious
Yeah.
Phil, is that the whole episode plot synopsis?
thing. Have I missed anything?
I don't think you have.
That's it.
Great.
What do we think, guys?
There we are.
There it is.
It was an itch
I
that
had a lot
needed
of
to be scratched.
I had a lot of fun with this episode.
I did too.
I like where they come down on the topic, which is like creationism, like wholesale creationism.
It's dumb.
Is stupid.
Yep.
It's really, really stupid. But it can't be disproved that there was some kind of impetus for the beginning of life. And that's fine to believe that way.
Mm-hmm.
But ignoring the evidence of evolution itself is patently idiotic.
Now, hold on. Before you say that, though, because evolution is kind of stupid when you really think about it.
Fight me.
Yeah, we were. Why did we need feet? I'm on Sean's side.
So
They're gross and weird.
it's kind of a really good jumping point for what we're talking
Tarantino
about
is
is
our creator.
why they wrote this episode. Have you guys ever heard of Kirk Cameron?
Oh,
Yeah.
was he the actor who
terrible
turned
From-
evangelical?
Yeah,
Yes.
from
He was a child actor.
oh, what is it called? Not
Growing
All-
Pains?
Growing Pains.
Am I
Yeah.
So
right?
he was like
Oh, no, he was
a
the
massive
dad.
No, he was one of the sons.
Okay, he
Mike.
was one of the sons.
And he was
Right.
like a massive heartthrob, and then he's like, I found God.
Mm.
All my storylines need to not adhere to,
anything that disobeys faith.
Yes. So
Yeah.
he does that for a long time. And the only time he ever crops up in movies and TV shows is doing things like the Left Behind series and Kirk Cameron Saves Christmas,
Jesus
which
Christ.
has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. Awesome. I want to watch it.
Oh,
Is
there's a
he,
YouTube.
is he in God is Say? Like, what is it? God is Not Dead? Is that the one?
I think he might be related to it. There's a whole video essay about him, and it's really interesting about how it's bad Christian faith. Anyway,
Yeah.
But what he
Whatevs.
did was on the 150th anniversary of On the Origin of Species, he went to 50 of the biggest college campuses and handed out On the Origin of Species, which also had about 4 key chapters missing and a foreword by someone, I forget the guy's name, by someone that was trying to disprove the entire book.
Wow, that does not surprise me.
And the writers were like, we need to talk about this. Let's do
Is that
it.
the impetus for this episode?
Yeah, they're going, that's kind of shit. He's kind of shit. Let's write an episode about it.
yeah.
I mean, creationism isn't such a hot button issue now as it was sort of 8-9 years ago.
No, it's not, especially for us here in Australia. I
Sure.
feel like there was definitely a lot of, I don't know what the rules against church versus state in America are, but it seemed like,
It's constitutionally separated.
yeah.
It's
But
a big deal.
But not practically.
I remember there being
Sadly,
a
no.
big, lots of schools that have been banned from teaching evolution, whereas we don't have that here.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
As far as I understand
yeah.
it, in America, it's state by state. So whilst it's imposed by the Constitution, the separation of church and state, I believe states enforce their own curriculums.
own,
That's
yeah.
it's about the curriculum. Yeah.
So if your school state enforces like a religious-leaning curriculum or a creationist in science curriculum, then congratulations, you're teaching non-science in science class.
yes. And you're going, oh, evolution's only a theory.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's not
Which
good.
is the
So
stupid.
is gravity.
Also,
Yeah.
Which is exactly what
they
the episode
mentioned they
pointed
made
out.
the same
Yeah,
joke.
they
what was
did.
it like in the UK?
Creationism. Oh, I just didn't take
You
off.
guys have Church of England, which is basically like, fuck the church, we do whatever we want.
Oh, well, I think Eddie Izzard describes CFE best.
You can't have
It's-
tea and
it's
cake with the
just-
vicar
it's-
or die.
Yes, it's just tea and cake with a vicar. It's like, oh, you've lost your faith. No matter.
Cake or death?
Would you like a little cake?
Death,
Sit down
please.
on this
Wait,
couch.
I meant,
Come on.
I meant cake. Well, you said death first. Oh, you're lucky we're Church of
So
England.
yeah, creationism wasn't really a thing.
Yep.
I think they even make a joke about this in the episode. The flat Earth thing is more. Again, I don't think it's as big in the UK, but flat Earth has kind of replaced creationism as that kind of anti-intellectual thing.
Because there's going
Yeah.
to be something they're hiding from us,
That's right.
Oh.
That's right. No, I have yet to hear a convincing argument for what
For flat Earth.
benefit. No, not just for flat Earth, but like what benefit, like institutions would have for like lying to everyone about the Earth being a globe. Like what
Means
what,
the airfare, right? Okay, so
Right,
when
and they're charging extra for airfares. I'm convinced.
That just reminds me of a Bill Bailey bit when he's pretending to be a stone. He's like, well, I think you could walk to Germany in a day, right? So they fly around, right?
I remember we did this for an episode of Imaginauts, and I'm not even entirely sure it got
Flat
it
Earth?
aired. But I introduced the idea of flat Earth, but I said, "Ask me anything, and I will answer your question, and I will debate you that flat Earth is real." It was one of the hardest fucking things I've ever had to do.
Yeah,
Because it's a nonsense position to take.
yeah.
Because to
Why
believe
so?
it is to deny what we objectively know as fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have for thousands of years.
And have convincing arguments against it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Your point.
That's
they're just lying to you. All those
That's
convincing
right.
arguments are actually lies.
that's right. Science is a lie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like why can't you go faster than the speed of light?
Oh my god.
I mean, I think this is a, like to kind of keep it back on the episode itself. I think this is a really good kind of target or subject matter for Futurama,
Futurama.
because it's a science fiction show
Yes.
and with an emphasis a lot of the times on science. It has a lot
Yeah.
of cool science jokes. There's lots of little science jokes in the background of this, like the labels in the Robot Museum of Natural History. It's like the Neanderthal.
Yep.
It's
There's
just
an
a
R2D2.
programming,
There's
a
an
Boolean
R2
gate joke.
R2D2 is in there.
R2D2
Yeah.
is in there.
Wozniak is where they were at some point. There was a big Wozniak sign.
It's the
Yeah.
Wozniak College where
That's
they were
right.
protesting. Yeah.
Even to flaunt their kind of politics a little bit, the fact that they have a flying spaghetti monster in at all.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is the
yeah.
whole like
Explain me.
No, that
Yes.
that comes. The flying spaghetti monster comes directly from a conflict with the Kansas school board.
yes about
which,
evolution.
which is about teaching evolution.
yeah,
in schools.
because it's all
yeah.
about correlation is not causation. Like
Yeah, and also if you are going to teach this creationism theory, why can't
then
you
the
teach
flying spaghetti
our
monster is
creationism
just as
theory?
valid.
Yes, yeah. So it does. That's a really good point. It really
Yeah.
does show their
The
position
politics
on the
their
issue.
sleeves. Yeah.
But their ability to use satire to approach the subject means they are like. I'm surprised they didn't talk about it sooner. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Futurama often goes like,
That's really intense.
yeah, for
Thanks for the backup.
You're right. You're right. That's right.
Whoa.
That's right.
That's
There we
right.
go.
That's
That's right.
right, yeah.
Have you
Paul
seen
Salt,
that-
you've broken me.
Have you seen that image that was banned from the flat Earth discourse of someone like so you've got the dinosaurs and then the meteor comes down, but because the Earth is flat, the meteor hits and it just springs all the dinosaurs off into space. It's great.
Oh,
Perfect.
Actually, to be fair, I read something about how the asteroid would have happened, about the dinosaurs. I'm
Oh, yeah.
It's really interesting.
Go for it.
It's science,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's on point.
Look, you can edit this out if you think it's
Oh,
crap.
yeah, that's right. So
We've
what-
talked about everything fucking else at this point.
because it would have had to been traveling so fast and it would have been so big, it would have been a perfectly normal day, and then suddenly everyone is dead, like in an instant.
Yeah.
And the speed of it coming through the atmosphere would have ripped a hole in the ozone. The air from the
Australia.
Earth would have actually rushed out, flinging creatures into space, which means there are fucking dinosaurs possibly on the moon.
Write that
that
movie.
are
Write
dead.
that movie.
But there's likely dinosaurs in space.
See, I saw it as
Jesus
like a.
Christ.
I saw
How
it as like
cool is
a.
that?
That's
Science is rad.
That's
like a
better than
plug?
anything I've ever heard.
Like I saw it as like a plug idea. Like it goes through, it creates a hole, and like a vacuum, all the dinosaurs go through the hole.
Is that how
Yeah,
we'll
it's-
find
So
Nessie?
there's just
Kind
like
of.
a hole where all the dinosaurs didn't go through because they went through at the exact same time.
They got stuck.
So all the fossils are just in the middle somewhere. We have to find it.
No one heard my joke about finding Nessie.
Finding Nessie.
Yeah.
Nessie's real.
She's in space.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the only way that Nessie could possibly be alive?
She's on Neptune.
Nice.
Uh,
I like it.
Mr. Phil,
Yeah.
Bender's function.
Oh, so he's like an acetylene torch. He
It's a
drinks.
what?
He drinks acetylene torch. It's like a welding torch.
Oh, okay. Yep,
Like
yep.
he
Ellen, remember what he did in the episode? It's like
Yes.
that.
It's like that. You know when he launches a flame from his mouth and then he can like
No,
turn
I
it down.
get that, but literally any other lighter, like any jet lighter, will
It's the
also
way he
do the
goes-
same.
That's what reminds me of a acetylene torch.
Yeah.
Yeah, welding torch.
Yeah,
right.
one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of those. Yeah.
With pure rage.
He also
can be
has.
heard through
It's
a
not really a
fucking
function.
microphone.
Sorry.
No, I'm just saying, if the audience is going to feel unbelievably tense right now, my rage is coming through the microphone.
Oh, God.
And influencing them. And if they're feeling smug, it's me.
If they just
How-
want to talk about the episode, it's me.
How bad would it be if they felt talkative, smug, and angry at the same time?
Ooh,
Go through drive.
Sean, throw something good in there.
hungry.
Go through go through a drive-through. Feel all those emotions.
Yell at the staff. Make them feel awful.
Be smug and speak about this Futurama episode. Sorry,
this
Phil,
might be
go
treading on your toes, but he has some really snappy suspenders.
Don't you fucking dare. Don't you fucking dare and come into my fashion corner spreading your lies.
Whoa!
So in Sean's fashion corner, what we find is the robots are wearing this lovely silver metal. All of them, actually.
Yeah, they wear clothes.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can
It's
say...
It's not usual for
but
Futurama
that's also their
robots.
skin.
It's
Yeah.
a,
What
it's
would
a
you
bold
do?
They're
choice.
evolved.
It's a bold choice.
What would you do if your skin was, had clothing?
What
My-
the
like-
fuck did you just
Well,
say?
because the
So, like,
robots...
I
Wearing-
would be an animal with fur.
Like wearing a skin jacket?
That's
like
true.
layers? Layers made
That's
out
true.
of skin?
No, but they...
Can we talk about the fucking episode?
But the
I'm
robots...
the only one who's actually offered an opinion on what the episode was like, and I was like, I think it's pretty good.
I think it's a good one as
Okay,
well.
two
I
things.
think
Number one,
actually-
number one, I think it's
So
really
sorry.
great. Number two, do you mean like skin on the jacket? Like
Well,
as
because
in,
they have, pleating and shape and, sleeves
That's
on their
called
skin.
That's called leather. Human leather.
human leather.
Leather is
Heather.
something that you've dried and tanned.
Yes. So get human skin, dry and tan it.
And wear it.
All right,
I
let's
feel
talk
like
about the
I feel like
episode.
I feel like I'm on the Rimworld subreddit right
Oh.
now.
Drink your rum, Phil.
Okay, so a thing that I think about this episode is that you can't talk about it too much without bringing your personal either faith beliefs or your scientific beliefs.
Sure.
That's,
Yeah.
Let's try it.
it's an episode that immediately grabs you and goes, "What are your beliefs? We're going to challenge them regardless of what you feel." You can't go into this episode going, "I'm neutral," and come out of it going, "Well, I'm still neutral."
I guess that's true, because, I agree with evolution, and I'm not particularly religious, so if anything, I feel a bit vilified by an episode like this where I'm like,
Oh.
haha,
Ben-
It does soften me on that position of well, you don't know what
Kicked
you
it
don't-
off.
kicked off life.
No.
And that could have been a robot.
Well, no, it is. Because Bender knows the truth. There is a God.
There is a God.
There is a-
Bender
there is
has
a
met God. Yeah.
Mm.
Yes.
Canonically, Bender has met God.
You were doing very well until everyone died.
And then God got hit by a satellite. So it is Robot
Yeah,
God.
it is a
technically.
robot. It's
Yeah.
Robot God.
The other continuity thing that I realized is that the robots do evolve. In one of the earlier episodes, there are primitive robots. where they're banging on cars
Yes.
with wooden implements.
In Futurama or whatever it was like the
Yeah.
Pastorama.
The
whatever.
one where Fry, Leela, and Bender go to the theme park. There's like 19.
This is when they run over not Bonder.
Flexor.
Flexor.
It's the one. Yes, it's the first Flexo episode.
Yeah, it's the first Flexor where he gets ass
Right.
whiplash.
So anyway, we have like the
So we
canon
know-
is that robots evolve. But anyway,
I mean, we also have monkeys.
I mean,
running around.
Pastorama was not the most accurate museum ever.
that's true.
But it could have been. Like, because that's how Wall Street works. Everyone flies up in jetpacks, and then the stock market crashes. They jump out of buildings.
And then they fly back up.
That's
Whoa.
Was that
You've
a bit
saved that,
dark?
Chris.
And payphones are public.
Oh no, when they hit the ground, after they've hit the ground, they fly back up.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Jesus Christ.
New people put the
So their-
jetpacks on.
Their bodies are just up in the air.
No. People
No,
take.
the ground is springy in Wall Street. It's a soft concrete.
There's also
Like Ellen, new people put the jetpacks on because the other people are dead.
That's right. Okay.
So in this episode, there's I quite like the kind of like Forbidden Planet feel of the
Yeah.
middle section where their clothes get all coincidentally torn, so they
Yeah.
all look like they're on like stranded on desert planet, and they have fights with dinosaurs, and each day you get to see how it's evolved to the next
God.
step. I really like that
I also-
element of the plot.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
really carries it along nicely.
As someone who loves Jurassic Park, like,
For
seeing all
me,
the-
as someone who loved the Dinobots from Transformers, that's what got me about
Okay.
that.
Did you just make a Beast Wars reference?
No, Dinobots are,
Beast Wars is
are
after, I
canon
think.
outside of
Oh,
Beast
really?
Wars. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
is it-
Wow.
Grimlock
Awesome.
is the T-Rex. He's the leader of them.
Wasn't one of the
Don't
Transformers
remember any of the
movies,
others.
like, I'm talking Michael Bay Transformers movies, wasn't one of them about
Number 4.
them?
Number 4 is
Number 4 has
with
them in
Anthony
it. Yeah.
Age of
Hopkins?
Extinction.
Look, there
I
are a
swear
lot
to
of
God,
good
I'm-
actors
Age of Extinction,
in
yeah.
the
Yeah.
I
Transformers
swear to
movies
God,
that
I'm not
shouldn't be.
making this up. There was Transformers.
There were Dinobots in it,
dinosaurs,
yeah.
there was
There were
Anthony
Dinobots, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hopkins, all
But-
in the one.
They're totally canon in the rest of the
Yeah,
Transformers
because
world.
Transformers are living beings. So
Yes.
They are indeed.
Makes
yes.
sense.
I particularly like Fry's "Help, police" when he's getting eaten by the one of the
And
dinosaurs.
he's somewhat related. This is a
cool way to die. But it's not. Like,
It
the
is pretty cool.
But the thing
Pretty
is,
cool.
Pretty
Disagree.
hardcore.
okay,
Pretty metal.
maybe he thinks then, but is it cool when the pterodactyl
He's about to
takes
be
it
fed to
to
the-
the
That's right.
tiny little, like... 'cause
Little baby raptors.
Also, I would assume,
birdies.
surely... I mean, look, my knowledge of dinosaurs is very limited, but, like, they're birds, so maybe the pterodactyl would probably also eat him and, like, vomit him back up. Not that cool, Fry,
Maybe
I would
Fry's
say.
maybe Fry's a bit of a masochist, or of a delta brainwave. Maybe he doesn't feel pain.
I
He
just don't
feels
think
pain.
he's.
He's definitely
I just don't think he's thought that far.
no,
ahead.
he hasn't.
Also, it just reminded me of the god-awful prolonged scene in Jurassic World where... Do you guys remember that? For a movie that was so nothing... Then they have this character who is like someone's assistant. She is going to get married, so that's a fun little thing. She gets dragged off by, I think it's a pterodon. She's screaming.
Are
and
you
then,
describing Jurassic World?
Yeah,
I've
and then the
completely-
giant...
I clocked
No,
out.
I'm saying
30
because
seconds
when Fry
ago.
was like, "This is a cool way to die," it reminded me of that scene.
Oh, in Jurassic World, when she gets carried off.
carried
yeah.
off, and then the giant. What's the dinosaur in the?
It's
in
not
the-
a megalodon. It's more like a crocodile thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's giant and scary,
It just
and
eats
also,
her.
yeah, she gets dropped
What?
into
That
that
character got a real short
screaming
shrift.
the whole way,
Yeah.
and it's such an odd and cruel scene in a movie that's like,
And that character's really put upon as well.
yeah, she's a struggling assistant. She's like been tasked to look after these two fucking awful kids.
That's because
And
she's
also, at the beginning, she's like, I'm going to get married soon.
that's because
Forgot
she's a
about that.
white woman in a 90s film.
How dare she?
Yeah.
They always
But it's not 90s.
No,
No,
it's
it is
Jurassic
a
World.
90s film.
Yeah, I thought
Oh,
it
it
was.
is.
No,
No.
it's not
No, it's
made
not.
in the 90s.
It's made in
No,
2000.
no.
Oh, that's
No,
the new
no.
one. Oh,
But
that
it
sucks.
feels like a 90s.
No,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
right,
not.
okay.
It's not set in the 90s
Yeah.
either. It's
No,
Okay,
just-
that's disappointing.
like
Because
my
Chris
point
Pratt
was
is like very sexist and yet
Yes.
somehow still acceptable.
Speaking of sexism, the two women, Fry and Leela, Leela and Amy,
Amy.
getting
Yes.
carried away.
By the
Cavemen.
cavemen.
I was like, we've had sex in every single episode of this season so far, or like sexual tones stuff. Can we
Yes.
not?
Them getting dragged
It
away.
doesn't do anything. Can we not?
Also,
Is
yeah.
that Forbidden Kingdom? Forbidden Kingdom. The Jet Li, Jackie Chan film.
Yes, no,
Forbidden Planet.
I don't think they had any caveman rape in Forbidden Planet.
Oh, no, probably not.
Not that they do rape in this.
Also,
They just hand them a broom, which is just sexist rather than
And it's not.
rapey.
It's not really.
It's just fine.
Let's draw
that's
the line
dream.
there.
That's
Definitely
what you
draw the
want.
line.
Someone who's
I wish-
sexist but not a
Rapist.
rapist.
I really hope that my facial expression was conveyed through my
Yeah,
voice in
no.
that because it was very eye rolling.
You gave a big
I don't know.
big old
It's
eye
a bit of
roll.
like one of those no moments from me where I'm like, what does this bring to the episode?
It doesn't really, and also it isn't resolved.
And it doesn't give us
Because
many
come back-
laughs.
They just come back the next day.
That's right.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to pay off in a gag where, because they evolve, I thought it was going to be like, now they're lovely, sophisticated.
They evolve into
Yeah, you actually
into
get to see
normal
I
them
thought
be,
that was
yeah,
going to be the
robots.
joke.
Yeah,
Like, they
that's
get
what I
dragged
thought.
away, and then like the next day they've got like these very urbane like
Yes.
robots being like, "Oh, darling, like, can I help you?" Or,
Yes.
"You're gonna
then,
use
then you can still
Allow
have,
me, I'd like to do the washing up. Blah, blah.
then you can still have Leela's
truly
line.
the future."
Yes.
All right, let's go on to favorite moments.
Father man,
Away!
the little superhero
Oh.
that Zoidberg paints for Cubert, and it's Zoidberg as a father figure.
Father man. Away.
He's painted. What does he do? He fights to win approval of
For his son.
For his son.
Yeah.
Is it working? Is it
No.
working, audience? I ask you. It's working on me.
Amy breaks off her finger instead of her nail,
Oh.
which is a lovely subversion of that
Oh.
cliche.
The
Perfect.
noise is. I knew what happened
great.
as soon as I heard the noise. I was like, no. That's why you guys laughed at me, but I had such a like,
Ooh!
to the like when she just held up her stump of a finger.
It's like a
And
running...
then comes back.
Yes, in the soup. It's like a running thing in Futurama that like physical injury is quite trivial.
Yes. Fry gets his hands eaten by a T-Rex and he
Yes.
gets new hands.
He gets...
Do you remember that
He gets
episode?
his
No, I'm
arm...
just thinking how many times Fry has lost his hand. Like Zoidberg chops it off.
Yeah.
He lost a whole arm and then
That's
Zoidberg
right.
attached it
To
under
the
the
wrong
other
side.
arm.
Yeah. The robot devil took his hands off.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh yeah, they just hack
he-
him off like they're nothing.
He nearly loses his wiener. There's a whole episode
There's a
about
whole episode about that.
people are being after his wiener.
I quite liked the
his nose.
one of the final lines
His human horn.
of the episode is digital photographs like
I can't lie.
can't lie. I quite like that. That was a very nice little line.
I like how many grand pianos.
Yeah, four.
Four.
And nothing else in the house apparently. He's going away to a reclusive shack and he needs 4 grand pianos. Is he going to play with himself?
I had the weakest link joke. Like
Yeah.
Farnsworth spending the whole evening going through what is the weakest link, where Banjo's like, well, what is the weakest link between this and a
missing link.
missing link?
Yes,
sorry.
and it's Mr. Banjo who's debating it.
Mr. Banjo, yeah. And
Yeah.
Farnsworth keeps
Doctor.
going through, and then he finally goes, oh, I guess I can't explain this one. No, I guess I'm wrong.
I
And it's got like 20 examples.
Yeah.
I like Bender justifying stealing his suit from a child because he's saying it's an adult because I stole it from his bar mitzvah.
That's right.
He's a man now.
That's exactly. Now I can steal from you. That's great.
Do you want to know why I've written down beep beep?
Oh, the duck.
The duck.
Oh, the goose.
swan.
The swan.
The
Just
swan.
goes beep beep. I don't know, it just
Duck,
tickled
goose,
me.
Yeah,
swan.
no, that's
I loved
great.
it. I loved it. The professor builds a giant spacecraft out of random dino parts. Takes him
In
2 hours.
4 hours, I think.
I
2
thought it was
hours.
It's 2
Are you
hours.
kidding
2 hours.
me?
And you're like,
2 hours.
why did he specifically mention how long it took other than it's absurdly short? And then the next scene, it takes him 12 hours to make a simple
Yes,
slingshot.
the slingshot.
Hey, I
love
will
it, I
say,
love
if
it.
you've ever dealt with elastic, like, have you guys ever had that problem when you've got track pants and the elastic slips back into the pants
Yes.
and then you can't
Can't get it
Can't
out.
get it
Can't
out.
fish it out.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's a tricky
so
thing.
I get that. 12 hours.
I've got a special mention for both Bunk and Pshaw.
Sure.
You do
For
love
sure.
You do love your professor words, don't you?
Yes, I really do. Pshaw is a word I have not heard for a very long time, and
It's
I
a
thought it
good
was
word.
excellently used.
Yeah. I like the little underhand dig that people who are anti-evolution probably also hit their children.
Oh, what was this?
Because there was like
I missed this, clearly.
They had a pamphlet and it was like anti-evolution is bad or something, and then down at the bottom it said also bring back spanking.
Ah.
And I'm
Good
like,
find.
yeah,
Good-
I'm like
good catch.
a very accurate Venn diagram with the people like, no, there's anti-evolution, and also I should hit my child
God,
anytime
yeah.
I like because they're my property.
Despite all the research
Yes.
saying it does nothing.
Don't do that.
But
I
harm
was
your
hit
child.
as a
That's
child
right.
and I'm okay. Well, not really, because you grew up to think hitting children is
It's
good.
okay. On that same vein, there's a line that the head protester has where she says, "We will not give in to the thinkers," which I quite like.
Pshaw was Stimpy's catchphrase from Ren and Stimpy. Did you ever watch Ren and
Really?
Stimpy? Yeah. Oh,
I did.
Oh,
I try
Pshaw.
and think.
Oh, for real?
Yeah,
Try
absolutely.
and forget
I
that
don't remember
nightmare
that,
show.
yeah.
Oh, it was
It was a
fucking nightmare.
total nightmare.
I do
that
try and
show. I watched
force
it
it.
as a child.
Yes.
Ren and Stimpy.
Ren
I
and
try and
Stimpy.
Yeah, that was a good show.
Stimpy decided he disappeared and ran in to go find him because Stimpy looked inside his belly button.
That's right.
No.
And then went inside himself.
Slept inside himself.
So Ren went inside Stimpy, but he was like small size. And then Stimpy came back out, but then Ren was still inside him. So
Please stop saying this. I
when Ren gets thirsty, Stimpy sticks the straw up his nose and then Ren drinks it.
like a
Kids show.
tricycle tops.
Tricycle tops.
That's a good gag. I like it. It's a triceratops, but
With
it's
three
got
wheels.
Three
Three
wheels.
wheels. It's
Classic.
a
Tricycle tops.
I quite like the end, which is at least throws a bone to Faith, which says, like, however unlikely it is possible that it was started by a creator.
Yeah.
Like, that's nice.
Yeah.
Well-
They didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
really, they didn't.
No.
Then that's quite nice for them to...
They threw a bone.
yeah, they threw it.
Little archaeology humor for you.
That's what you're here for. Shut up and take my podcast.
Paleontology humor.
That's true. That's true. Sorry, it's just because they were on an archaeologist dig at the beginning.
I feel like let's head on to the vote.
Whoa, we glossed it earlier. I think we have to talk about Fry's dog.
His
Oh,
what?
his dog.
His dog.
Other
Oh, his
fossilized
dog.
dogs.
It's a Dachshund.
Why is it in Africa, buried in a valley?
How does Hermes recognize it?
I super don't like this man.
I just assumed.
See, I knew it was worth bringing up.
I just assumed that Hermes thought any fossilized dog was.
Must have been.
Yeah. Was that a weird thing for me to take away?
No, I think that's fair.
Or maybe as a bureaucrat, he just somehow has a record of
All
all
the
Fry's dogs. He looks up all his employees.
Yeah.
He knows the dogs.
Works
They
all
all
their pets.
they
so he knows
all
their
got
password.
Yeah.
destroyed in the
I
fire.
don't see Fry as owning a Dachshund. I'm sorry, I just don't.
I think that's...
I've got nothing to back me up.
I just
there.
don't
They're
like
just
the gag. It's like, it's a bit cheap. Do you know what I mean? Like,
It's a very
Into the
self-referential.
soup.
isn't it?
Get it?
Well-
do you remember Fry's dog?
I do.
Do you
I do.
remember?
I do
Get it?
remember
You
that,
got that joke.
tragically deep, dark episode.
Wait.
Do you remember do you remember it being funny?
guys.
No.
Oh dear.
Guys, we have a dumb fashion corner.
Oh, go for it. There's good stuff in this, actually.
There are actually really good.
There's loads of good stuff in
so
this.
in the big the not ball they have the premiere.
the Bone premiere.
The Bone premiere, that's right. There's a lot of this. Must be the trend for whatever year we're in. They've got a lot of high collars on the dresses, like really high neck collars.
Bit Blade Runner.
Yeah,
Was
it's
this
just
in?
something
sorry,
I
is
noticed.
this in the
It was in the
Robot
premiere.
World? Oh, in the premiere.
No, yeah.
Oh, okay.
The Bone premiere.
I really like Amy's archaeological, like little her pink outfit. Basically,
Oh, she has like the pith helmet, the explorer's
Yes,
outfit. Yeah,
yes.
I like the
but it's a very bright shade of. It's almost. It's like a fuchsia, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't think I've seen this in Futurama. I don't think I've seen this shade in Futurama. Like, it really did draw my eye to it. I thought it was fucking great.
I like Bender has his like explorer outfit as well. He doesn't need it. At
Oh,
all.
yeah. I
There's
thought
no
you were
way
gonna-
he needs a jacket.
I thought you were going
but-
to talk about his tiny suit as well.
So you got to make
With the-
his suspenders to nothing.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't even clip on. Do you think? Okay,
magnetic.
That's a Bender's
I was
function.
going to say,
Yeah.
are they magnetic? The ends of the suspenders.
I think so. He just
because they're not clipped
taps
to
them.
anything.
Or did he steal them from another child? Sorry, man.
They probably stole them
I'll
from the
allow it.
professor. Let's be honest.
now.
I think we've got reoccurring outfits in this one. So I think Amy's old faithful, the red crisscross halter neck kind of dress,
yeah.
and Leela is in a very nice lilac gown, which I don't know if we've seen before. But yeah,
So, and I noticed
everyone's looking quite snazzy at the premiere. I just
the robots, the advanced robots, are a bit sort of 1920s.
they are.
Yeah.
It's really interesting as well because it's like we're not quite sure where they've
They are
evolved
right.
to. Like,
Given their museum was opened at 8:15.
Is it supposed to be like a throwback to Darwinian era?
I think so. Yeah, the
Maybe.
explorers
like
and
she's
naturalists.
supposed to be
The
the era
well,
of
I guess-
naturalists and like
I guess because she's the first one who has proposed carbon-based life forms.
Yeah,
So maybe that's why.
she's the equivalent of their data.
carbon-based fat-filled life
Fat
form,
filled.
which is
While
true,
poking
true for
Hermes.
for me.
Poor
It's
Hermes.
very important.
I mean-
okay?
Oh, what about Hermes? Is like he's got that girdle when he's
Oh,
been
yeah,
moving
when
all
he's
those
constructing
pianos.
the
Was it a
pianos.
back brace? I
Yeah.
was so confused.
Yeah, it's to keep everything in place while he's hauling those pianos.
keeping something
Does
in
anyone
place,
help
I'll
him?
tell you
I feel
what.
like he does all those pianos himself.
Nah.
He's got it. He's got it.
Muscle needs fat to protect it. We know this. So Hermes is very, very,
It-
very
Do
strong.
that again.
I don't think the mic's going to pick that up.
Shut that gate door.
If you can't, like, isolate that noise and just really amplify it. Yeah, we picked that up. We got that. I'm happy. I'm satisfied.
Nice.
So we're heading on to a vote,
Yep.
which is the late Philip J. Fry versus whatever this episode is called, which is Clockwork Origin.
Origin.
Jesus
We're doing
Christ.
it again.
Who's going first? Great, I'll go first.
I put my finger to my nose.
So
Hey, it works.
I actually think I'm going to go with Clockwork Origin.
Show you're working.
At its premise, it's a comedy science fiction show, Futurama. So take a premise that riffs on real life science and the comedy of people like fucking not getting science, and make an episode over that. It's really well like written, top to bottom. Like it ends tightly at the end. Like even the B plot is kind of given like a little scene where it's like, I hate this kid. Get him away from me. He's an awful child. Even though he's got his little gloves, his oven mitts on his hands, which was missed from Fashion Corner. Ellen,
It's not a.
it absolutely is
It's
a fashion
a very
statement.
big fashion statement.
Do you, I'm sorry.
They-
do you
I'm
count
kidding.
cooking implements as fashion?
Do you not?
100%.
Oh.
No.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I think Sean has his famous three-way chart, which is
So many names for it now.
three-way chart. His science.
My cycle of Futurama needs or something.
There we go.
Your
Well,
triangle.
as we know from pre-show,
What?
there's some leeway
This-
when it's in a 1-2-3 way.
Nice. Yeah.
Uh,
Sean's Futurama three-way. Let's
there you
call
go.
it.
Yeah.
It needs some heart, it needs some science, and it needs some laughs. And I think Futurama, if it has heart, that's great. But I think it falls apart if it doesn't have science and comedy.
That's a nice little rhyme to remember.
It falls
Falls
apart
apart.
if it doesn't have heart.
No, if it
No,
has
fuck.
heart, if it has heart, that's good. But if it falls apart, if it doesn't have, what did you say?
I didn't know that I was rhyming. That's
you
okay.
did.
That's
it
okay.
sounded better when you said
It
it.
was probably something about science, good, yay.
And heart, good if it's good.
But also, like,
If
as
it
a person who
rhymes,
practices
it's good all the
practices of
times.
faith of my own, like, this is respectful to people who have faith.
because you gotta have
That's
faith.
because you got to have faith.
Okay.
Faith,
Yeah.
faith,
Have
faith.
faith.
So I'm going to go with the late Philip J. Fry. Why?
Yes, continue.
Go on.
Show
Sorry,
your-
Sean,
show
Sean made a
your
weird
working
noise.
film.
I think it balances the three-way in a lot better. Like it has an element of all three. It has a very cool sci-fi plot with a grand scale. The totality of time is covered 3 times.
Yep.
And then it explores some really key relationships as well. It's also really funny. I think this is missing a little bit of kind of personal development. Not to the episode's detriment. It's just not kind of what the episode is about. But I think it's what makes the late Philip J. Fry just a little bit more of a classic episode. And I just disagree with you slightly on that. I feel like this episode will date.
Oh, sure. Okay.
I feel like the issue is already starting to feel like an old issue. Despite anti-intellectualism being still kind of a thing, the whole thing about creationism seems to have, at least for us here,
Yeah.
drifted away a little bit. So I feel
Sure.
it's already dating a little bit. That's my
I guess I look at that as anti-intellectualism as a whole rather than
Rather
the
than
specifics
individual.
of. But I take your point absolutely
yeah.
for sure.
So it's funny that you talk about like what episode will be remembered. For the past couple of weeks,
Remember me.
I I've actually struggled, and it might just be because I've really shit memory as well, but I've struggled for the last 2 weeks to remember what the late Philip J. Fry is about, like what was in the episode. And I quickly remember a few minutes later, but there's just something that doesn't grab me about that episode. And I really enjoyed the late Philip J. Fry too. But this episode here, A Clockwork Origin, is one of the funnier episodes for me this season. And it's got a cracking pace that I really enjoy. And it kind of hits the same part of my brain that really enjoyed the Da Vinci Code. Just that kind of, it doesn't worry about the emotional weight. It's got like a nice little hook in terms of the sci-fi premise. And it leans heavily into that. And it's really absurd. Like in Da Vinci Code, they go to a fucking Leonardo da Vinci planet.
Yes.
And in here, Farnsworth creates robot life.
I hate to interrupt you or
Then
correct
don't.
you. They go to Vinci planet. Da is from. So they go to the planet of Vinci.
Vinci planet.
Yep.
Okay. Well, they go to the Da Vinci planet. And I've lost my train of thought now.
So are you throwing your weight behind this episode? Or
I'm throwing all my weight behind this episode. So I throw my robust stomach against
my robust stomach,
and we form Steam and also A Clockwork Origin. I made a Wonder Twins joke, by the way.
Cool. Sorry, a what joke?
A Wonder Twins. Okay. For American listeners.
There you go.
So this is Orcs.
Uh-oh.
Are we having our first draw?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yay.
I actually have
wait, should I explain why?
Talk to us
Yes.
about it.
Yeah.
I think it's already been said that, we're talking about the triangle of needs. It's got... Nope, that's not...
I thought we don't even bother to explain what it's about anymore.
Has it got heart? Has it got science? Has it got humor?
Laughs.
And for me, I really thought this was like a great episode, but I did feel like it just dropped the ball in a few jokes. Like, for me, this could be Roswell that ends well, if not for just a few seconds where it let the air out. Otherwise, I would have been like, oh, I am on board. This is funny. It's silly. It's also very clever in the way that it's asserting itself. And also, it's not doing that pissant thing that South Park does where it's like, well, both sides are dumb. If you know what I mean. Like, it's like, hey, here's the things we believe in, and we're going to really, put our money where our mouth is. But, I think it just loses to the late Philip J. Fry just because the science, I feel, is pretty up there in as much as the heart. And this one doesn't have heart, and it also... just lost me a bit in the humor.
Totally.
There's plenty of really good gags
There are
in
good
here.
gags in this,
yeah.
So many.
This isn't a thing of like, this episode's bad and the other one is good.
It's like by
these
the
are two good
skin of
ones.
its teeth.
Yeah,
There
for
were just
sure,
a few
for sure.
gags where I was like, oh, that didn't work for me. Guys,
What?
the call is coming from inside the
So,
house.
because we are...
We're still recording.
I know.
Okay.
Because we are at a stalemate.
Oh, you take
We have a
You've
guest.
got to let us know that because I was going to pause the record.
No, it's funner if I do this. So...
Hello, everybody.
Do you want to come on my mic?
So, Costa, we have had...
You have to
Costa,
get right up into the mic.
Costa, who we've talked about a few
Right up
times,
in-
and has
like-
been
right like this,
like
has been
we're
a good friend of ours on the podcast. He is going to address our first stalemate in the history of Shut Up and Take My Podcast, because I've never had to address this before. We have the late Philip J. Fry, and we have this episode, The Clockwork Origin. Do you have an episode that you prefer, and can you show your working as to why?
Okay, I know I just watched the episode with... Ooh, it's putting the mic in my mouth. Yummy.
That's how it works.
You got to get this close.
I know I just watched the episode with you guys, but could someone just refresh my memory?
So you got the late Philip J. Fry, which is about Fry's always turning up to dates late with
Yes.
Leela, and then he gets in a time machine with the professor, and they end up going forwards in time, and they have to go all the way around to the end of the universe and start back up at the beginning.
Yep.
And it has a really nice moment where Leela shoots.
Yep. No, I
words.
remember now.
Right,
Cool.
yeah.
Thank you.
And then this one is the one you just watched.
Yes.
You really need to get closer to the
I'm sorry.
microphone.
I'm going to sit down. Okay.
Like this.
Ooh.
Like we're touching it.
Yeah, you got to get right in there, baby.
I'm really sorry if my beard scratches on the mic. It's going to sound...
No, it's fine.
Everyone.
It won't pick it up.
Yeah.
I really want to know what you guys said now. I have to listen on
We'll
Monday.
let you know after.
Yeah.
Yeah. My vote's going for the late Philip Fry.
Oh.
I know I was watching that with you guys last week. Was it last week or the week before?
Week before.
Week before, yeah.
I actually thought that was the last episode of Futurama.
That's right, you did.
yeah.
I remember. Yeah.
I actually think it's a really great episode because it's just and I thought it was a good closing episode for Futurama. It's got that nice lovey-dovey stuff that you guys will really love. I'm very much on board that the Seymour episode is better than the Sting, but we've had many conversations in the Beard Cave about this. This one had the heart, whereas this one I think was a better sci-fi episode. Actually, they were both really good for sci-fi episodes.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm very one-sided.
You've said basically a lot of what we've said.
Yeah.
Is very similar, just about where
A pretty perfect summation of
like,
what we've all
what
said.
we've all said. Yeah.
Both are great sci-fi episodes, but one's a sci-fi episode with heart, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
the other one, if you're giving them points.
Very concise.
Thank
Thank you, tiebreaker.
Thank
very
you,
much,
tiebreaker.
Back to your cave.
Yeah,
Get out of
this,
here.
This was
Yeah.
very weird. I got a text message from downstairs, and
We need you.
well, I didn't get told what it was about.
Oh, really?
yeah,
Oh,
I was
I just said, have you seen the late Philip J. Fry? He's like, yes. I'm like, come up here.
yeah, he was like, can you come up to the recording room? I'm like, you mean your bedroom? And
Don't give the
out
game
me.
away.
Lifting the veil.
I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm gonna go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Costa.
Thank you for having me.
Yay! Thanks. So get fucked.
Well,
No, but this was very
fair. I mean,
tight.
no,
this was.
they're very good episodes,
this
both
is
of them.
our first draw in a very long
And
time.
so
We
To
don't
be-
often have four people.
To be very clear, I think you would had you spoken to me a bit more about your episode, you might have pulled me over.
But both just
Both great
stellar
episodes.
Episodes,
Yeah,
like
well done to the writers and the directors and everyone
Yes, sir.
involved.
So we don't need to do a voice because we all just did Costa's voice. The audience does not know that. But
That's right. Costa isn't one person; he's us, an amalgamation.
we are Legion.
We are
And
one.
our names are Josh.
we are Costa.
Yes.
Can you just do a inadvertent?
Biblical
I
reference.
am Joss for We Are Whedon joke. I am
It's
Whedon
only because
for I
my
am
mouth
Joss.
is very dry, and instead of saying Josh, I said Joss.
So, guys, the next time that you are going to find us is on the same podcast app where we will be doing The Prisoner of Bender. Bender.
Bender.
Bender. With an A on the end.
Bender.
And in the meantime, you can actually chat to us by contacting us at babybeardmedia@gmail.com.
You can also jump on Instagram. We're there. That's primarily my bag. So if you want to have a chat to me, just girl talk. Don't worry about the guys. Then you can also comment and see what we actually look like, which is kind of fun. You can put a face to the names. And where else are we?
We're on Facebook as well. All our podcasts are on Spreaker, SoundCloud, iTunes, and Stitcher as well. Basically, find us on most good podcatchers. I thought of this little pithy saying. You might like this.
There's that laugh.
Sounds like we will either love it or hate it.
Yeah,
If you like what we do, please rate and review.
Oh.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Did you know you just rhymed?
No.
If,
No
if you
idea,
end
no.
if you end an argument with a rhyme, it's successful all the time.
So if you go, if you are rating and reviewing, we'd love you to subscribe to us on whatever podcatcher you're using. Yep. But if you're liking and reviewing, make sure you do that on the iTunes app on your computer. Don't just use your app on your phone, but actually go onto the iTunes program in your computer. Give us a 5-star rating. It helps our visibility so much. And because we love doing this and because you guys love hearing it, we want to spread the love. And why don't you tell someone about it as well? Share the love. Share it around. Share it around like... I was going to rhyme and didn't think of one.
And then we won't just randomly stop doing this because we gave up. Because we no one loves
Yep.
us.
Yeah. Oh, we don't want
Just
that.
Use,
We love.
Spread the love.
We love you.
spread the love and use
Yeah.
protection.
Anyone who's messaged us has a 100% return rate on featuring on the podcast.
Yes,
That's
true.
true.
If you want to be on a podcast, message us.
I mean, I did one 3 months later, but we don't talk about
But, we
that.
got, but they got on
they were on the
regardless.
podcast.
so
You will get on one way or another.
Yeah. You won't get off.
you might get a text asking to break a tie.
I'm always helping you edging. It's Sean.
I'm constantly evolving. I'm Chris.
The missing link. I'm Phil.
And I am just a plain old Neanderthal. I'm Ellen.
Oh.
Hey, they were great.
Okay, we'll catch you later.
All right, bye.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bunk.
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 Shaw.
For sure.
Sure.
We should do a Ren and Stimpy podcast.
No.
Played the shit out of Red Alert.
I didn't play
Red
it as
Alert
much.
exists in an alternate timeline where
Timeland.
Hey.
where the Nazis kidnapped
feel
Hitler and invented time travel. Nazis kidnapped Einstein. And invented.
I was gonna say they didn't
Einstein.
need to kidnap Hitler.
You know, there's one guy that used to come into my work, and he would buy 2 cans of V every day, and he'd do that at 9 o'clock in the morning,
Yep.
and then he would come back at 11 and buy another 2 cans of V.
Yeah, it's
So it's a
fucked.
liter of V every day, which he did for about 6 months.
Yep.
After 6 months, didn't come back.
Killed by the V.
Killed, but
Too much.
he wanted the
Too
V.
much
He
vagina.
got the V.
Got the V, and then he realised I'm
Choked on the,
drowning
he
in
choked
V.
on the V.
Choked on the V.
It happens.
It
That's why
does.
you gotta-
Also,
I
if he is dead, I'm sorry.
No, you're not. What the fuck is wrong with you?
It's all I can think about today. A Finnish man shouting at a bear.
I hope you hope this isn't getting into the. I don't.